You ready, Chris?
You ready, Ben?
Let's get it.
Man, let's get it, man. Welcome to the Follow Then Lead podcast.
To introduce the special team member, Julian Alexander the Great Baynes.
That is the full title.
That is the full title, Alexander the Great.
That's man.
Yeah.
All through Macedonia, hit me.
Welcome, bro. Welcome to the show, man.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you for
Welcome
having me.
to the team.
Listen, you told me about this pod, and I was like, man, you know you need somebody to bring in the spice. You need to bring the energy, mix it up. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, just be
I'm just
authentically you.
I'm just thankful to be here, man.
Yeah, so am I. I'm glad you're here.
I appreciate you.
Again, so maybe listeners might not know, we're brothers. We're brothers.
My older brother.
Yeah, sing it.
Colored. Please don't sue us now.
Right. So, yeah, we family. And, yeah, I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad we're doing this together, bro.
Oh, man. I'm here for it, bro, because I've never been a person that's all about the limelight, but this is definitely a message I support. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's not enough examples of masculinity that isn't toxic. Like, when you hear the word masculinity in 2021, how often do you hear toxic before it? Because that's all we're trying to fight.
Yeah.
That's what these Twitter wars are about, these Twitter figures.
Yeah.
Straight like that.
So, pulse check.
Okay.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
I'll keep it funky. I'm doing all right. I could use a little something more in my stomach, A. And B, when you have one of those weeks that you're just like, yo, if you don't get on my face, we're going to have a problem. You're going to have a problem. It's been one of those weeks.
So what are you doing to try to get out of that, shake that?
Yeah. Fellowshipping. Because what I've learned, just kicking it with your people is a form of fellowship. Just being around people with not just, I don't even want to say similar energy. Being around people that care about you, that you care about, and are working towards something real will always, always, always push you in a better place of mind. Because looking forward to something is something that human beings just need. Straight like that.
Yeah, 100%. I know for me, like when I get into like ruts or when I start to struggle mentally, I have to run or I have to work out. Like I have to. And I feel like I don't want to. I'm like, man, I really don't want to do this. But I think after I do it, that's what I'm looking at. Okay, how will I feel after I do this? All right, that's why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And I was listening to like Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher. He's always talks about the why. Like you want to start a business, what's your why? Because your why is going to get you through it. Your why, when things get hard, is going to push you to keep going. Because the why is so big.
That was a whole word right there.
Yeah.
And you did say he was a pastor.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
But it's the truth. Like, and I start to realize it now. When the why is big enough, you'll do it. Whatever it is, however hard it is, you're going to do it.
I'm going to post a why on my fridge for a couple of different things because I'm trying to get in this weight. I know the listeners can't see me, but like 150 pounds soaking wet. So it's that summer. It's hot boy summer this year, man. I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
I'm about to get tatted. All right, wait, Mom, listen, I need you to not listen to this episode, like anything past this.
She'll be fine once you get it.
Once she sees it. Eventually. All
right. So what brought you to the Follow Then Lead podcast? Like when the idea was presented to you, I know you mentioned that it is not enough examples of, proper masculinity, but like what to the core or what from your life experience made this your why? What is your why behind this?
I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn more about manhood, not just in this context, but for myself, because I myself am finally coming to a place in my own life where I'm trying to reevaluate everything. You see what I'm saying? Because you spend your whole life being taught things. Whatever it is, like, all right, this is what this is. This is what this is. Cool. But now I'm at a place where those same forces externally that were teaching me things are now questioning everything they taught me. And I'm breaking down what I've been taught and going, oh, wait, I don't have a really good answer for why that is. And so manhood being one of those components. You know what I'm saying? So I'm in a place where this pod is actually going to help me as an individual just evaluate what I want my manhood to be. Because hearing all these different perspectives, taking time to edit and understand where people are coming from is tremendous when it comes to understanding things better for yourself.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think what I was hearing the other day from my cousin, he was saying that that part of manhood is the pursuit of more information, pursuit of growth. And so if you're not in pursuit of growth or being better, maybe your manhood is lacking. You're going to lack in some area or some fashion because you don't want to know more. You think where you are is good enough. And basically, manhood, it's never good enough. You have to keep going. Yeah.
Bars. I will say this, sincerely, independent of manhood, one of the things that I always thought was worth pursuing as a human being was being a polymath, a person that just knows enough about everything.
Okay.
Because knowledge is its own reward. I sound corny when I say that, but it's facts. You know what I mean? Yeah. It used to just be a profession at one point in time in human history that people would just sit around and think and be like, you know what? This is my thought on this. This is my treatise. Hit me.
Yeah.
And people will come back and forth like Thomas Hobbes.
Yeah. We love those people. But if you were to say nowadays that, oh, what do you do? I'm a thinker. All right, I'm a philosopher. They're going to be like, how do you get paid doing that?
It's straight up.
Right?
Straight up.
That's it?
So, does that come with benefits?
Right. Right.
I don't see no BCBS on that philosophy package, my guy. No, but for real, I consider myself a little out of time in terms of human history sometimes, because real talk, if I could sit down and just think with people all day about how things should be, that would be my full-time profession. Because I really appreciate a lot of what philosophy is intended to do, right? I'm gonna challenge you to check out The Leviathan by Thomas Hobbes.
Okay.
Reason
I
being,
think I've heard that book.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because at its core, it's all about understanding good and bad.
Yeah.
That's what all philosophy really is. But in particular, they were talking about how political opinions and political groups should never be based on what the common good is.
Okay.
Because good is subjective. So if you over here think good is one thing and you over here think good is another thing, how are you going to come together and create a political law on something you can't even agree on?
Right. Because there's no common good.
There's no common good.
Yeah.
There's common evil. So the whole point of the Leviathan, to an extent,
is there a common evil? If there's no common good, then there's no common evil.
Everybody can agree.
Evil is subjective.
Everybody can agree. I don't like pain.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Right.
Well, actually, you know what? I don't even know if we can do that anymore because 50 Shades of Grey did drop not too long ago.
Some people would question that.
It's like, oh wait,
but what kind of pain are we talking about exactly? So I really appreciate your your connection to the movement, right, and the mission. And I'm really glad that we're here on the team.
I appreciate it.
And so to give us all an understanding of who you are, what you've experienced in life that brought you to, who you are now, can you tell us a bit about your life growing up, your childhood experience?
Oh, totally. So, excuse me. Wow. It's always heavy because I'm trying to, all right, I'm gonna start with saying this. My childhood was such that when I think back on it, I do my best to paint the people in my childhood in the best light possible. Because there was a lot of difficulty in my childhood, but I know that the people in that childhood loved me. So in the same breath that I am gonna say, I'm a child that is a product of 3 divorces, I do want to make it clear that my mother was a loving mother. She was there for me. She made things happen. You see what I'm saying?
She did what she had to do.
She did what she had to do. I recognize that did make me the kind of person that I am, for good and for bad, for better, for worse. But on the flip side, I need to make it clear. All right. So with that disclaimer out the way, I individually consider myself a fledgling polymath. Like I said, I want to know a little bit of everything. I am a man that definitely is learning what manhood is supposed to be, because I mean, probably the 3 divorces, you're going to see 3 different examples of manhood. So for me, manhood very much so was, all right, come through, pay the bills, make sure the nigga's straight. All right, cool. You good, little man? All right, cool. Good talk. High five. See you later. Like, that was manhood.
Right,
that was pops, you know? And it was wild because, all right, I'm going to tell this little story about my childhood. Now you might understand a little bit more about me and why I'm allowed. All over the place. I met our dad when I was like 9, 10.
Okay.
Does that sound about right for a time frame?
You knew him before then, but you probably don't remember.
I wouldn't, yeah.
Yeah, you were really young.
Yeah.
Because I remember us being at like the just meeting when you were younger.
So my first conscious thought of him is being him popping up to the door. And we were living in Brockton at the time. And this is not too long after my mom and her husband at the time had split. So I knew that man to be my father. So when Pops came up, he was like, "Hey, what's going on, Julian? I'm your dad." In the same breath.
Just like that.
In the same breath. So I'm looking at my mom like, okay. Wait, Mom, you're not smiling too. Oh, wait, this is real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay, sir. Nice meeting you. My name's Julian. Oh, right, you knew that because you're my father. All right, cool. And he started, try to bring me around and whatnot, and then
just disappeared.
And
the infamous.
Yo. Yeah. Because we gotta build on that story just a little bit. So it was my understanding that he had died after he disappeared. So that's just why he was gone. But it turns out that was your stepfather at the time, unfortunately. Condolences, that had passed.
Oh.
So all my mom had heard was that so-and-so had passed Ben's dad. So we all thought it was Lewis.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I met with Tweet later down the line that I was like, no, he's alive.
She hit you up on Facebook.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm like, excuse.
Tweet is our sister.
Oh, context for the listeners.
Tweet is our sister.
So this is how I reconnected with Ben. I hit Tweet on Facebook because I had randomly typed in my last name on Facebook, like, are there any other Bayneses? Tweet pops up. I'm like, yo, those eyebrows look real familiar, my guy.
The Baynes brow, they call it.
The Baynes brow. So I'm like, all right, hold up. Listen, all right, you know what? Let me see what's up. I hit her up. I'm like, look, I don't know if this might be the case, but I think we might be siblings. Kind of look alike. You're from the right area. My dad had passed these years ago. This, that, and the third. She's like, what are you talking about? He's alive, but yes, you are my little brother. I know this.
She remembers you. Yeah.
So it was wild. It was very much so wild. Tying that back to the original, meet. Growing up, it was a lot of situations like that where it felt like my life was a TV show. Because this is the kind of things that you can't make this up. You see what I'm saying? It's tame enough to be on public access, but it's wild enough to be a show on its own. And I feel like as a result, I always had this attitude that, I'm a little bit different from those around me because this can't just be something that happens to normal people. So I leaned into it. So that show mentality became a showmanship mentality.
Yeah, I gotta show up.
I show up, I show out.
Yeah.
Because this is the Julian show, fam. Yeah. You didn't peep? Nigga from childhood. And I feel like anyone who knows me well will tell you that I'm a very salesman kind of person. Regardless of who it is, I'll learn how to talk to you real quick because that's what a star does. Now, I realize that probably comes across like, this nigga think he all this. No. I'm not trying to come across any type of way. But my formative years were shaped by equal parts drama and church. So to me, manhood was big parts. Pay your tithe, pay your bills, make sure the women in your life are straight, because that's a big piece of manhood. Yo, manhood is defined by women.
100%.
100%. Because they will tell you if you're being a man or not, and you have to accept that because they're the judge. So
if they're spitting out this toxic form of what a man is, you gotta be, you can't show emotion. If they're saying that, it reinforces
100%
what we're training each other to do.
100%. Because, I mean, men aren't men for other men.
Yeah. I mean, we do it.
We
pump our chest like a gorilla for other men, but we also do it for her.
We're doing it for her.
Yeah.
When we pump our chest for other men, it's because we want her to see, I ain't no punk in these streets.
Right.
This ain't, you know what it is.
Yeah.
They're not about to flex on me. So those formative years were equal parts taking care of the women around me, making sure everybody's straight, bread, all this good stuff. Church, because if you're gonna be a man, you gotta be a man of God. And all of that shaped me into this showboating, gotta dress nice, gotta be this, gotta be that kind of person. And those formative years are important because if that's what your basis is, what are you shaping your life around from there? So I hope that answers the question in its entirety, but
it does. It just gives us a picture. So like with, having multiple like stepfathers, your father not being there, and through small interactions, like who are some of the influences that you've had throughout your childhood?
Big one growing up was my adoptive older brother. So you're gonna have a presence in your life that is the same gender as you, regardless of men and women. You're gonna have someone that is the same gender as you that you're gonna look up to, period. Because as a child, there is someone you want to be like, period. I don't care who you are. You can't live in a vacuum in that extent. So my older brother became that person because I felt like I was lacking with better examples, right? And on strength, I mean, he was a wild boy at one point. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna put him on blast, but he was he was doing some things he wasn't supposed to be doing, and that really shaped my perspective on how to handle things. I was real quick. I myself was never quick to violence until I got a little bit older and felt like I could handle myself. So up until that point, I was like, yeah, you know what? If you're gonna handle it, beat that nigga's ass. Like, that's just what it was, because that's what I had seen.
Yeah, you gotta let him know.
Yeah. And thankfully, I didn't get into too much trouble because my mom had always made the point of all those other pieces of my upbringing. Like I said, the church and, making sure the women in my life are straight and this and that and third. I wasn't in a position where I could stop doing that to go pull up on a dude. But he was. So he was the one that was handling those problems for me so I could be the good kid. He gets locked up for a bit. Now I'm in the position like, okay, so do I handle it myself like I want to handle it, or do I do the right thing? My mom was praying for me a lot. She was putting me in positions where I wasn't getting in trouble, because I'll be honest, had 3 things been different, even slightly different when it comes down to that, I'd be in jail. No question in my mind. Because how I was taught to react to things, how I internally react to things, is not how I should be handling it. It's not how I should be believing to do things. But because of those, those frameworks that were set in place, those gates, those guideposts, those are the things that kept me from being too wild. Then I turned 18. And then you're allowed to see what manhood looks like for yourself. You go out, you're in the streets with your peoples. That's a whole different animal. And again, I'm thankful because the people I had in my corner, I learned from doing science club and going to Princeton for a summer to learn about technology and electronics and all that. The little programs my mom put me in It's where I made the friends I made to get it together. So I don't know. It's an odd combination of I was taught to be smart, think, but internally I was still my older brother.
And then who else was your older brother? The only influence, or do you have other?
For a long time.
Yeah, wow.
For a long time, because all the other men in my life were heads from church,
Yeah.
teachers.
So you didn't really have any connection with anyone.
I mean, they were cool,
Okay.
but like,
What about in your 20s?
oh, my 20s, you
Me?
straight like that,
For
like, bro.
And I always felt like you weren't. I guess we weren't hanging around as much, so I didn't think that there was any.
I'll say late teens into 20s. Let me put it like that. So around the time that I was pulling up more and more often, I really did look up to you because you had the kind of calm that I wanted for myself. Because for anyone who doesn't know my older brother, right? This man has his nephews joking about how little expression he might have in a laugh. Like, he would sit there and chuckle and be like, like, you can't see my facial expression right now. It's that, it's the Kanye laugh. It's the Kanye laugh. It's like 3 seconds of laugh and then like, all right, I'm cool again.
Yeah.
Period.
But that's how kind of like, just quick before you go, like, it's like that with everything. Like, things aren't that big of a deal. You know, like, if we're going through something, we got to fight. Like, okay, we're going to deal with it in this moment. After it's gone. Like, I'm not holding it.
That wasn't me.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted. You see what I'm saying? So my formative years, that was my other older brother. But like a little bit later, it was like, I wanted that piece. I wanted to be the kind of man that in all things I was still chill. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't me at that point. So yeah, I would say male influences, it was y'all two.
Even now today, anyone?
Today? Today I'll say my male influences that I look up to. Can I include a celebrity?
Yeah.
I would say you.
If there's aspects of them that benefit you.
100%. I still say you. Jay-Z. And probably some philosophers. I would just need to take the time to go back to the books that I like to be like, them niggas.
Yeah. So with that, right, the influences that have brought you to who you are today, what are some of the characteristics? I know you mentioned for me being calm, your other brother maybe being more assertive,
a little more aggressive.
Jay-Z, like what are what are the other characteristics that you've learned to be where you are now?
So I'll plot it out like this. I'll answer this question by listing the qualities that I hope are seen in me by others. I pray that when others see me, they see somebody of whom is intelligent, somebody of whom is capable of planning out and executing, somebody of whom is regulated within their emotions, somebody of whom is well dressed. I consider myself a sartorialist in everything.
Sartorial hippie.
You dig? Follow me on the gram. Bang, bang. And more than anything, somebody who is kind and patient. Because I wanted that, and that's the funny thing. That's the one influence to my manhood that I got from a woman. Because my mom is the sweetest, kindest woman I know, period. Doesn't matter. She's so patient with everything. Because as I transitioned through life, I wasn't always a good, like, I gave the expression, like, I was in this club, I was in chess club, I was a little nerd, went to Morehouse for a bit until money ran out. Like, I was trying to be that good man because it's what my mom deserved. And she was patient with me, she was kind with me to try and make it happen. But on the flip side of that, you know what I'm saying? Internally and externally, two different things. You know what I'm saying? Internally, I had all these issues and all this going on. But now that I'm at an age where I can recognize and appreciate that her influence can help my masculinity, my manhood, and being kind and being patient, I appreciate her all the more for that, because that's one thing that I think every person that really sits down and gets to know me will say, period. No, he's a very gentle, loving person. Because, like I just said, like I grew up with that spirit of wanting violence, but to fight that, like it's a mother's love and prayers, man.
Yeah. That's like as far as manhood concerned, self-control and discipline
100
is necessary, right? Because you can't be, like, you can't be for your family if you're always reactionary to everything that happens to you, right?
Bro, you can't be for your family if you locked up.
Yeah.
Straight like that. Because I will tell you, I've gotten like this close. Like if I stuck around just a little bit longer, it's a wrap.
And that's like, as far as like what we talk about, cycles, right? Generational things, like our father constantly back and forth in prison, in and out of prison, right? And that could be the time that you remember seeing him at 9 and he disappears. He probably went to prison.
Yeah, no,
he was in and out of
that's
prison.
what happened.
Yeah.
That's what happened. It was around the time that he got deported.
Oh, you were 9?
I want to say I was like 9, 10.
I was 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw him like Thursday, and he was supposed to come back on a Monday.
Yep.
And then my mom got news like a few days later because he didn't just show up. So I'm like, here we go again. And then it was like a week later we hear that he, the feds, the whole 9.
Bro.
And then he got deported.
You got that story, he got deported. I got the story that he died.
That's crazy.
You feel me? Because there was no word back from me whatsoever. So I'm...
Because it was his girlfriend at the time that told my mom.
That set him up. Oh, wait, never mind.
Maybe she set him up, but she told my mom.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know who, maybe the girlfriend told your mom or somebody told stories.
My mom didn't get notice until way later.
Oh, okay.
So for me, it was just he never showed up. Time passed.
Yeah.
Still ain't show up. Time passed. He's just gone. I'm like, all right, boom. So it wasn't until your stepfather had passed that my mom gets notice. Oh, Ben's dad died.
Oh, that's crazy. My stepfather died before Lewis.
I don't even know how it happened.
Prison, yeah. It was like about a year before.
Oh, my mom, I gotta have a conversation with my mom.
It's just maybe the information that when she was told could be, it's different timelines.
Okay.
Right? When it happens for me and then when she finds out, because who she connected to, she's not connected to my mom. She's not talking to our
Grandma.
family. So I don't know.
Because that was the sit down conversation. I'll never forget. It's like, listen, I know you were a little broke. Listen, I was in the car. All right, we're on our way. Boom. She's like, look, I got something to tell you. I don't know how you're gonna take this, but here's what's up. Like, it was fast.
How did that shape you, like I guess to the point, or even today, like, how do you internalize, your father and all that you knew, what you know, things like that?
It was heavy because, in a weird way, I was broken up, but not as broken up as I feel like I should have been. Because this is an individual that I kind of know. So for me to be on something like, I'm not going to fake the funk. I was like, oh, wow, that's crazy. I internalized it a bit, but I went about my life because it's like, it was no different from losing your favorite coworker. It hurts. But if this is a coworker from like 2001, I mean, damn.
And a coworker you didn't really have no relationship with.
It's like, he's a cool dude. Yeah, my guy. Oh, all right, bro. I'm going to keep it pushing, though. Oh, he passed. Oh, that's crazy. Times are wild.
Life goes on.
You feel me? And that's a wild thing to have to say about your father, but, I mean, I ain't know the dude to be like, oh, that's my people's. Oh, no, I'm blubbering crying.
Yeah.
Had somebody told me that my stepfather passed, oh, it's a wrap for me. Because even then, like, I know that he wasn't necessarily my best example because, he did his best. He was working hard, good dude. But again, his example that he gave me is I pull up, I pay bills. Okay, cool. That's not going to be the basis of no emotional connection.
You're right. Yeah. So with all of these scenarios, like, what does how has it impacted your manhood, right? Your view on manhood.
I will say this. My manhood was shaped in part by everything I mentioned, everything I've been through, everything I saw, you know. So a big piece of manhood for me is like providing, right? Big piece of manhood for me is making sure that my character is never challenged, right? Because that's my older brother, that's my stepfather. So if we're talking from a childhood level up, that's the basis of my manhood. Take that, you transition that into high school. High school, you're surrounded by people who are in similar situations. So they reinforce components of your manhood based on what they've been through. Because you're going to find yourself around like-minded people, regardless of where you go and regardless of what you do. Like, as much as opposites attract, birds of a feather. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Misery loves company.
There you go.
Yeah, same.
So the people that I surrounded myself with, you know, we turn it up, we're having fun, we're doing our thing. They weren't gangbangers or nothing. They were similarly people who had their head on straight, that were trying to do things with their lives, but were ready. Mm-hmm. So we never actually had any problems as a group because everyone's just trying to be cool.
Yeah.
I don't want to have no problem. We just try to have a fun time, but don't try us. So manhood became exactly that. It was, don't try me, but I want you to know that you're safe around me. Don't try me, but understand that I'll get you anything you need when you need it, period, no questions asked.
That's manhood, though.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, it should be, yeah.
But the component to that we all ignore is the vulnerability that comes with manhood. Mm-hmm. We're not expressing that. Nobody around me told me it's okay to cry. Ever. Period. Right? Mm-hmm. So you now have 30 plus years of rage unchecked. Because I never actually had a moment where I had to square up on these niggas. Mm-hmm. I never had a moment where I had to like pull up. We getting these niggas. Because we chill, we good, we party friends. What's going on? So I never get the opportunity to throw blows, but I'm always ready to. So it's 30 years of like, I want to hit a nigga. Yeah. Please let me hit a nigga. And then I go to therapy and they're like, wow, you are angry. I'm like, well, I mean, ain't you? Like, when did you be? So yeah, I feel like I learned that a big piece of manhood is emotional control and emotional discipline. And nobody's taught me that until now.
So what have you learned from therapy?
Listen,
are you comfortable expressing about therapy? You know,
I'm fresh in, man. I'm fresh in. We're at session 3 at this point.
Oh, you're session 3.
I know. Listen.
Did you go in thinking like, okay, what is the date that I'm going to be good?
For me,
when I started, that's why I asked you, because when I started, I went in like, bro, so when we going to be good? How long we need? I don't need to do this forever. Like, what's up? Like,
so is it like a master's program, like accelerated track?
3
is
months,
it like a year?
Yeah, like what we doing? Is this 3 months? Is this we can do this every week for a month, like, and I'll be fine, right?
I'm not even gonna cap. I thought I was gonna go into therapy. I'm gonna sit down with her. We're gonna go back and forth a couple times, and she's gonna hit me with you know what? You're actually a much better adjusted than you give yourself credit. Here's what you could use as tools, and just make sure that you never get too angry or work on your anger. You'll be fine, Ju. That was my expectation.
Okay.
That woman sat me down, told me about myself. And she started it by saying, look, I'm going to tell you about yourself. You're not going to like it. It's going to be okay. Because we have other sessions to work out how you're going to feel about not being okay with this. But are you ready to hear this about yourself? I'm like, yeah, sure. No problem. She's like, listen, you think you're humble. You're not. You think you have no ego. You do. You work so hard to be perfect. You're not. Because to be perfect, you'd be Jesus, are you?
She was chopping at every pillar that you were built on.
I'm like, that's all I have. Okay. Oh. Because everything, there's a component of manhood that I completely forgot to mention that was based on the church. Being a gentleman.
Yeah.
How you treat girls and dates and all of that. how you dress, all of that is gentlemanly, right? And that was the church that had taught me all that. So I assumed that that combination of manhood and self-respect and all that made me the ideal man. So I just had to stick to it, and I'm cool. She just took that all away in one conversation, straight up. So I'm like, oh, all right, cool. I don't know what to do from this. She's like, listen, that doesn't make you any less of a man to not be perfect. You're human. So one big piece of why I wanted to be on this podcast is to spread that exact message, because I can tell you how many people on the gram, on Twitter, and all this have that same perspective of what being a gentleman and being a man is. You are allowed to fail. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to cry.
And it's also necessary.
It's necessary.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody tell me that. So I'm just sitting here like in my feelings, angry in my room, throwing blows. Bro, none of my fingers are straight. And it's not from sports. I needed to hit things.
I punched a steel door when I was a kid.
Bruh.
My whole hand blew up.
Bruh.
My mom beat me just for doing it.
Yo, how you get beat for hurting yourself?
Exactly, because you was being stupid.
Oh, you want to get hurt?
Yeah.
I'll show you hurt. You want to get hurt then, huh?
Oh man.
But straight up, it behooved me to spread the message that at the end of the day, the only expectations that you need to live up to are Jesus's, are God's. There can be no accountability without expectation. That is true. So in any other facet of which you might love somebody, care about somebody, owe something to somebody, yeah, take the time to understand their expectations from their side and your side. Because that's how you have accountability. But outside of that, love God, keep his commandments, all that good stuff. I mean, I'm just getting on that Christian walk. I ain't gonna hold you. Like, I'm like baby Christian.
Yeah.
I was raised in the church, okay? Yeah. I am baby Christian. But like, I'm gonna try. We'll see where it goes. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. All right, so with that, what is manhood?
Manhood.
If you could describe manhood, describe it with using descriptors or like.
Okay. Put simply, I think there's two definitions to manhood. The literal definition and the socially comprised one. The literal definition of manhood in my mind is to be born a man. That is it. To be born and identify as a man. That's it.
Well, that's a male.
Here's the issue, and here's why I say it like this. Because at the end of the day, the social comprised definition of manhood is so wildly varied that we need to sit down and amongst those that it matters to, have a definition that you can work from. So if I'm in a relationship, familial, sexual, whatever, and I say, yo, I want to be the man in your life, by de facto, because I am the man, the person that identifies as a man in your life, we now need to work out a definition of manhood for myself that we can agree on that works for us. For me, it's making sure I look clean, I present well, I take care of mine, I'm protective of those, you got what you need if you with me, all that. That's what I personally define it as. Personally. But realistically, I'm currently dating somebody that looked me in the face and said, I don't need anything from you. Just sit here and love me back. And that tore down my whole definition. Because now I don't need to do anything, I'll just list. You got that. All right, cool. All right, so how do I show that I'm the man in the relationship? You already said you can provide for yourself. All right, cool. How am I going to be the man in this relationship if, listen, you got your own 9. You got your gun. You're protected. I'm still going to try and do those things because I feel it's my role. But it's not until you're in a position in which you are forced to define manhood as it relates to those that it's important to, that you can have a working definition for self.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
All
That's, I don't know. I feel like that's to an extent a non-answer. I can understand if somebody's gonna be in the comments going like, "Nigga, he didn't say a goddamn
really
thing."
answer that question.
But like, if in a sentence,
So can you give us like actions?
actions that comprise manhood.
Yeah.
I think you're a man when you. I think you're a man when you provide for those around you. I think you're a man when you protect those that you care and love for. I think you're a man when you're of upright character and quality.
Okay.
Period.
Yeah. That's what's up. Appreciate it.
That is, hey man.
Yeah. So let's, after all of that, you
Hit
know,
me.
your life experience, you know, who are you? Who are you today in 2021?
In 2021, I'm a man that has learned that my whole life has been comprised of 2 V's. Vulnerability and violence. I've been taught that violence has been the answer up until this point. And I'm currently being taught that vulnerability is the answer now. So I'm a man that wakes up every morning and has to select between 2 V's. And every day it gets harder to pick one or the other. But where I'm at is hoping that maybe some combination is the answer. Maybe one or the other really is the answer. But I'm a man figuring it out for myself.
That's what's up. I appreciate it. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, what what you aspire to do,
Real talk.
what your current like life situation is.
Real talk. I'm currently living with my girl out in Weymouth. I do some management over at a software company. I run the customer care team out in the software called Buildium. So my job is equal parts IT and customer service. So I do appreciate my job. I do like my job, but I want to find a job that pays me well to teach people things, period. Because for as few teachers that I had that like left the kind of impact that I think people expect, like I didn't have a Coach Carter, you know what I'm saying? But on the flip side of that, I want to be that for somebody else, because just the kind of person that I am, I know that people have a tendency to look to me to break things down for them. And when you see me work, and like that's really what my job is, breaking down technology to people currently. And I appreciate that, because how people's minds work when you're trying to teach them something is fascinating. There's a physical reaction when people learn. Yeah. You know the exact
it's like
thought.
a light bulb, like
Damn. Like I had somebody literally go, "Why didn't you just say that the first time?" I said, I had. You couldn't accept it the way I said it the first time.
Yeah.
This old white lady got up out her chair.
Her by steps to get to that point. Yeah.
Got up out her chair, started walking around the room like she looked like she was doing stand up, bro. That pace. Mm-hmm. She was hyped, because learning and instruction, it physically changes you. And that's something that, again, is something I'm passionate about. Changing people through helping them understand whatever it is.
Yeah. That's what's up. So where can people find you?
Right now, bro, me being the kind of person I am, I've never been one for the socials, but you can find me on the gram at Sartorial Hippie for all your styling needs, for all your shit talk needs. Excuse my French. Twitter, what's my Twitter handle? I tweet about once a year, so come catch me for that annual tweet. Did I delete?
Like, where's Waldo?
Bro, I deleted my Twitter. Yo, this
Where's
is wild.
the sartorial tweet? That's what it is.
But I promise you, as Follow and Lead, as I get more involved in Follow and Lead, I'm gonna build my social media presence a bit more, so you can follow me a few more. But for the time being, you can find me at Sartorial Hippie on Instagram.
Yeah. And if he doesn't reach out to you at Follow and Lead Podcast, he's part of the team.
That right there is where you can reach me for real. Follow and Lead Pod is where you can find me at all times. helping with these videos, helping with these podcasts.
Hey.
It's gonna be vibes.
I love you, man.
I love you too, bro.
I'm glad that we're doing this.
Man, listen.
Thank you for listening to the Follow Then Lead podcast. You can reach us on social media at
The email is followthenleadinc@gmail.com. Instagram, Follow Then Lead Podcast. And our Twitter is Follow Then Lead P. Until next time,
Take It Easy.
word.